I don't want to get pretty. I want to stay pretty. Back in the game. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Or boa tarde, where I am, and where are you? It's what is it?
It's about 6 p.m., so good evening.
No, I said boa tarde in Portuguese.
Do we say bonsoir cette heure-ci? I'm not even sure if we say bonsoir at this time of day, but I'd say bonsoir. I think it's still early enough. I'd probably say bonjour.
Make it hard. Here I am trying to give you, an easy layup introduction of who you are, what you do, and how awesome you are. And okay. Try this again. Some of you know her face already, and she was in a big group chat we had before on a few different languages. But this is Rhodey, and Rhodey and I, we met on Twitter because she posted something that I thought was noteworthy, and I just started communicating with her. And I was like, hey, I want to find out more about you and your organization. Then she ended up being on a big group chat with us that I'll show you guys later if you want to connect to the original chat. And after that, we ended up just chatting back and forth. What I wanted to do was have some time with just some of that. This is Rhodey. Some of that one-on-one time, because I want to find out more about what you do and the organization that you run and how it was put together and how it builds those bridges. Now, the first time we chatted, and here I'm going to post it in the comment section for anybody that wants to. And by the way, for everybody watching, thank you. Make sure you click the like and the subscribe button because this channel has been growing amazingly, swimmingly. We've had a lot of amazing people come through here. For the people who know, I talk about three things. I talk about money, my favorite subject, making money, saving money, how money has financed my lifetime of traveling to 15 different countries, living in Brazil as a permanent resident. I talk about social issues, things that are popping up where we are. And I talk about world travel. And a lot of times these things have started to intersect. We can talk more about that later, but a lot of these things really started to intersect. So what I'm going to do first is I'll put this up. This was our first chat. If anybody wants to go there and see that one. Let's do this. I'm going to let you tell us about, I'm going to put it on the screen. Linguisol? How do I say that?
Well, that's pretty okay. But if you wanted to pronounce it the French way, where it has its origin, it's going to be Longsol.
Longsol. Well, I don't claim to speak French. That's not. No,
it was pretty fine.
So right now, and this is critical, you have 39 followers. Yet I know a lot of people who know who you are, and I guess people aren't following on LinkedIn. I'm going to put this in LinkedIn, and I'm going to make sure everybody says, please follow.
Thank you. I mean, the LinkedIn page is quite recent as well, so we're really happy for those who have hopped on.
So tell us about it and how it got started and what you do.
All right, so for those who are tuning in, as Yusef said, my name is Rudy Ann Thorpe, and I am the founder of Longsol International. Longsol International, at the core, is a registered entity in Jamaica. So although we have an international scope in terms of our activities, we are based and we abide by Jamaican code and rules and laws. So Longsol, as its name says, long meaning languages in French, and the sol, which is short for solutions. We want to provide solutions to language learning, which could incorporate so many things, whether it's teaching, interpreting, etc. But for the time being, we focus mainly on providing opportunities for persons to go overseas and participate in immersion programs.
Aha. Now, most people learning languages, everybody knows that I'm a big Pimsleur guy. I love Pimsleur because Pimsleur allows you to learn a language well, might I add, without having to be there. But immersion, of course, is always going to be the gold standard. And I can tell you that my Portuguese is better because I live here.
You are living, right.
And you live, where do you live right now?
I currently am in France.
Right on. North, south, east, west?
The north of France. That's the very north, as north as you can get.
What I've learned is I like French people, but Parisians are kind of assholes.
Oh, I would follow you there.
If anybody from Paris has got a problem, you can catch me in the comments. I don't care. I know enough French people to know that's not how most French people behave. It's just not.
Right, right.
And when I put on the link that we were talking about building bridges and the bridges between places, I was talking about, literally being able to go different places. So you were born in Jamaica. Where in Jamaica?
So in St. Catherine, Jamaica. So that's basically like a 10-minute drive away from the capital, Kingston.
And how did you end up in France?
Well, that is a very long story, but the short version I'd like to give is that perhaps around 9 years ago, I got the opportunity of studying in France as a part of a university exchange program called the Programme France Caraïbes, or the French Caribbean program, in which I would spend the first year in Bordeaux, France, then go to Martinique for the final leg of my undergraduate degree. I would start my master's back in France, finish in Jamaica, and at the end of it, I finished with a master's in international cooperation and political studies. So that's basically how it started for me as a student. I then returned to France because I really enjoyed teaching, actually. So I decided I wanted to explore this avenue of my professional career. So I went back to France to teach, and I have been doing that since.
And that's the short version?
Yes, that's the very short version.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to pull up some coffee to, or some tea rather, to listen to the long version.
I think so.
So here's where we are. You go to France. Did you start the business? Okay, it's registered in Jamaica.
Right. So after I finished my studies, so I finished college, and I went to France to teach for a year. I returned to Jamaica, and then I set up my business before going back. Pardon?
What do you teach?
Oh, I teach political law, English for specific purposes. So currently I teach at a political science institute. So I teach a lot of students who are pursuing potential careers in politics. So I teach English that is targeted to that kind of public. So that's it. So as you can see on my LinkedIn, so there is I currently work at Sciences Po Lille, which is another name that's known by as the Institute of Political Science, where I am a language teacher as well.
You need a background.
Oh, just scroll a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no background there. Rody?
Yes, can you say, I didn't hear what you said.
I said you need a background. Your background is that nasty plain blue background of LinkedIn.
I like the blue, but I'll take that into consideration.
You know who has a cool background?
You do.
I do. And I'll use this as an opportunity to tell everybody they can catch me on LinkedIn as well. Because you see that little circle? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Simple, kind of rustic, nice black and white picture of.
I love that.
Yeah. And this is what I tell everybody to catch me on LinkedIn, because I don't know. This is how you and I connect, because I'll tell you a little bit about what I do and I want to hear more about what you do, because I don't know if there's going to be a connection here professionally, but I do expat relocation services. That means there are a lot of Americans who, interestingly enough, many of them are Black, deciding I want to get out of America. And a lot of them know who I am, know that I'm a permanent resident of Brazil. And for the past couple of years, what I did privately was just show them the paperwork, make sure they got things done, take them where they needed to go. But I got hit with so many friends of friends that needed what I did, that I had to put it on my actual resume. And I do it professionally now. And I have a team of Brazilians who are bilingual who work under me, who we do everything from visa, residency, permit applications, SUS cards, national health care. So with you, when you help people to do immersion learning, let's say I wanted to learn? What languages do you help people with when they want to do immersion learning, and what is that process like?
Right. So basically, we started off by or base, which is Jamaica, because at the end of the day, even though we have those dominant industries in the US and in the UK, we are located in the Caribbean, and a lot of people forget that we have English-speaking countries there. So we actually do want to promote Jamaica as an English language learning and travel destination, not just for tourism.
Learn English?
Pardon?
Why would I want to? If I'm someone watching this right now, one of my friends who's one of the people who subscribe to the channel, they're going to say, "Why would I want to go to Jamaica to learn English?"
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to what the destination has to offer. And it's what I was saying in terms of Jamaica is also clearly known for a lot of the touristy side of it. And clearly we have a very unique set of people, a culture, food, etc. So in addition to all of that, we have very quality institutions, especially language schools and universities. So that's one of the main reasons why it could really be a destination for English language travel, not just in the UK, where of course there are assets there, but it's just another destination that can be promoted.
And you take clients who speak all kinds of languages.
That's correct. So, so what I wanted to say is that basically we started off by promoting Jamaica as a language travel destination. Usually in the beginning part of it, we started with French clients, which are by majority or main clients. And then we expanded because we're saying, okay, so people are garnering interest for Jamaica as a language travel destination. What about Jamaicans? Can we make these opportunities be available for Jamaicans? And therefore we expanded to include different languages. So therefore for French, we promoted French as a destination and the French Caribbean. There is Panama and Cuba as well for Spanish, and Spain in Europe. And eventually we've been exploring Brazil for Portuguese learners. So there are so many different language, Mandarin as well for those who are interested. We offer immersion programs for that. So that's been pretty interesting to see how the opportunities have been able to fall into place in terms of the languages that people are interested in and the destinations that we can offer. And in terms of the second part of your question, how does it work? It's pretty simple in the sense that once somebody through our website, longsoulinternational.com, they have an interest in the destination. Perhaps they're just curious.
Say that last part again. You went a little quickly. They have an interest.
Yeah, or if they're actually serious, and if either they're very serious in pursuing, immersion programs, or if they're really just curious and need to know, okay, how do I go about it? One of the things they could do is just to go on our website and book a free consultation.
Ooh, so let me show them the website. Is that it?
Yes.
You need a bit. Your logo needs to be bigger. It's all tiny.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that wasn't always the case, but I'm sure that could be looked into elsewhere. All right, so it's pretty much a site where you can hopefully find everything you need in terms of flight options. But
Cuba?
Did you say something, Yusef?
Hold on, for some reason we're breaking up now. We had a great.
Yes.
You can send people to Cuba.
Absolutely. I mean, as it says on the site, we're currently in the pre-registration phase, which basically means that, especially with the COVID situation going on, if you're interested in something, you just indicate a message, send a message to us rather, and we can advise you in terms of when we think it would be best period for you to travel. So there's really no commitment. You just say, oh, we're interested. We would like to stay with the host family in Cuba. We would like language lessons, etc. And as soon as we think it is a possibility, then we get everything underway.
I'd like to lodge a formal complaint.
Oh dear. So I think I know where you're going with this. I know where you're going.
Please. So first of all, Brazil, you made our school smaller, and I say our because I'm a permanent resident. Okay, so as soon as I get this language thing down perfectly, you're going to hear me speaking like. But why is the picture for Brazil smaller than the rest? And why is that program on hold instead of pre-entrance registration? I'll wait.
I'll leave you to wait, but I think that it definitely was not an intentional why the picture is a bit smaller. These are clearly images that are stock images, so that's probably an explanation. But in terms of the program being
wait, Rhodey, aren't you in charge?
Yes.
Hey then, a ship only has one captain, so.
We will look into it, Yusef.
Are you going to correct that for us? Are you going to give us a bigger picture?
Thank you, Yusef. I'll definitely look into it. Thank you so much for bringing it to my attention.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I have a question to ask. This is kind of a political question. Oh, look, the French Caribbean got screwed too with a tiny picture.
So, you see, it was definitely not intentional for Brazil.
It means you're biased against more than one country. I lived in China for a couple of years, loved it, Shanghai.
Amazing.
So,
I think you were, it was really just about the appointments that they could book. It's just above that, actually.
It's just a what?
It's above that section, plan and immersion program. If you scroll just a little bit up, a bit more. And yes, this is where I wanted to refer. In terms of persons who are interested in garnering, oh, you can go a little bit more even.
More?
And there's, yeah, it should be the first one, actually. That's it. So that's the language travel consultation option. For persons who are interested, they could really just book a free consultation to have an idea of maybe what to expect if they've never embarked on an immersion program before, or just to know what to expect, what they need, etc. So that's really how it starts.
Wow. Okay. I want to ask you a politically loaded question, and you're in politics, you understand how these things go. Some people
but I'm also not obliged to reply.
Some people feel uncomfortable with questions like these, and I don't understand why, but if by supporting what you do, would I be supporting a Black business?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on, well, it is Black and it's female owned. But I think it depends on if you book an immersion program, are you booking it because I'm a Black and it's female owned? I think it really depends on the intentions of the person or the informed intention of the person. If they're going to be choosing some.
Let me tell you something, Rhodey. I used to work as a financial professional, and it's what got me. You got to sit back for some old Uncle Wateef story time. When we taught young financial professionals about the business and how to talk to people, we would have this phrase we would ask them sometimes. Are you trying to talk yourself out of the sale? Like when I give you a softball question that says, is this supporting Black business? And the person who founded it is Black, the answer is yes, Watt, this is absolutely supporting a Black business. Don't talk yourself out of the sale.
Okay.
Furthermore, of course there are people who will do business with you because you're a Black woman. Is that wrong? Does that bother some people? Does that bother you? Does that make you feel weird to say that there are people who will do business with you because you're a Black woman?
It doesn't bother me, but at the same time, I'm just saying that I've never really thought about the fact that if somebody actually has an immersion program, has it because of that.
You should. We should go out of our way to do business with Black people. Listen, have you been to China?
Not as yet.
Okay. Say that again. Not just.
I said no.
I've been to China and I've been out of China. And you know who Chinese people prefer doing business with? Go ahead, guess.
I would like for you to reply.
No, who do you think Chinese people prefer doing business with?
I can't imagine.
Chinese people. And that's awesome. And it's wonderful because they should. When I do business in other areas of the financial sphere and I'm doing business with my friends who are Jewish, they give me consideration, but I'm always going to come second at best. You know why? Because guess who they prefer doing business with?
Do I really have to reply? Hello?
I'm here. I'm waiting for your reply.
Are you waiting for? Well, I'm sorry. It's clearly I see where you're going with this answer, so I understand your point.
No. We're not going to play the evasion game. Who do they prefer to do business with?
The person that you would expect them to probably do business with.
I'm crushing my soul.
I'm sorry. I really did not expect this to go there.
When I give you the easy, hey, Rhodey is this black business owner, a woman. I want people to support her because, surprise, most of the people watching us here are black. Yes, you should give her preferential treatment. Give someone who looks like you and came from the same diverse background and same oppression that you did the opportunity because she went out there and made it. But for you to not even be able to say, yes, it makes sense that people do business with people who look like them, that hurts me. Like, that really hurt. I'm surprised. Is there a reason that you can't say that? Like, is there a pistol to your forehead? Is it a new concept to say that we should, as black people, support each other?
I'm not sure if we are on the same page in terms of, I don't think you're understanding. I mean, at the same time, it's true that I've never been, and we talked about this in any case last week when we had the live with the other participants on your show, and we're saying that we've never really been raised to think in racialized terms. So at the same time, it's an experience for me to learn from you, which has been quite interesting. So I understand if maybe your trigger responses might be a bit different, but I think we just need to understand that we come from different places. But at the same time, I think we have to be on the same page in the sense that, would I support? I'm not sure if you're saying that I don't agree that people should support black businesses.
I'm not saying, I'm asking. I don't want to ever put words in your mouth. That's not my job here. What I'm saying is, I would like to, I am finding out from you whether or not you acknowledge that the support of the black community helps all of our businesses.
That's a completely different question then, of course.
Because maybe I am having a language failure here. Because when I say Chinese people love to do business with Chinese people and I support them and they're awesome and they make no apologies, and my Jewish friends do business with their Jewish friends and they get priority business and that's no problem. I support them. And I say, well, when you see people of other
it's because of your initial question when you were asking in terms of people who do business with me, if I think it's because they're doing it because I'm black, and that could not be a trigger response, especially where the persons who have done business with me were not majority black. So that definitely couldn't have, it wasn't a knee-jerk response to say yes.
Then you know what? Maybe I'm having a failure to communicate, and I'm glad that we're friends, and I'm glad that you can help me sort through that. My dear friend, She Learns Life, she is an amazing person that runs Melanated Multilinguals, a group on Facebook. She said, people outside of America do not see race the same way Americans do. Our ancestors went through different things. Now, I do have a friend from Jamaica that told me something very interesting. He said, what? In my country, in Jamaica, we have just as much corruption. We have just as much good people, as many good people and bad people as you do in the US. However, they're just all black. So we look at things a little differently. And he said in his world, it's more colorism than who's black or who's not.
It's not even just colorism, because especially in the Jamaican society, and I know a lot of persons will back me up on this. There's colorism, of course, but there's also an issue of class. So it's, whether you come from uptown or downtown, etc. So that's also an added layer in terms of the problems that are faced.
Well, there's a lot for me to learn then. And, what's the whole point of having friends from other cultures if not to learn?
Right.
Wow. Look what she said. She was like, calm down. I am calm. This isn't calm. And everybody should definitely check her out on Melanated Multilinguals. It's a place where we get to go talk about the fact that we all speak different languages and how we learn different languages.
Awesome. Yes.
Pretty awesome on Facebook. And I want to say thank you to my buddy BK from the Rockies, who everybody make sure you click subscribe because we talk about so many things here. We talk about money and world travel and language. And so when you bring someone in and your company sends them to another country, what is the structure of giving them the immersion? Do they just get off the plane, you grab them by the jeans, throw them out the window in the supermarket and say,
No, fortunately, no. Fortunately, no. So it is pretty much the programs are based off support at the end of the day, and support here means from as I said, you book an appointment to have a free consultation with us where we talk about your goals and objectives. So even before you even get to the plane part, we talk to people to find out, okay, what is it that you're looking for? There are persons who really registered or tried to register for immersion programs, and we knew that based off maybe their language level, a host family situation would not be ideal, so they took the hotel option, for example. So it's basically to find out from the beginning, before we even get to the booking, the plane and everything, what are your ideals, what are your objectives, what are you looking for? And then based off this conversation, these initial conversations, we design the programs based off the person's desires. When they get to the country, eventually they will have a country representative who speaks with them. They have their host families that come to get them. So these are local, these are natives in the countries that the destination country, who goes to get them. They, have a week of activities that are planned, that everything is scheduled. And they just enjoy themselves learning the language either in a school, or perhaps they have a tutor that comes and they do their excursions. So absolutely.
oh, look, you have a friend, CEM Writing Services. Rhody is great. I highly recommend her and her team at Guinea-bissau. Well then.
Thank you very much.
You didn't pay her off, did you?
No, this is a surprise.
Is she a former client?
No, no, either.
Well, listen, CM Writing Services, I appreciate the unsolicited feedback. Reputation is everything. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't been here before, make sure you subscribe and share the channel. This is how we get to meet and do all kinds of other interesting things. You do writing services. I'd like for you, let me give you my email address. I'd like to talk to you because one of my core businesses, CM Writing Services, I write and proofread and edit books, resumes, anything that has to be done in the written medium. So anybody else who wants to catch up with me, fine as well. But CM Writing Services, I'd like for you to shoot me an email, shoot me your phone number. Maybe we have business together. I'm not quite sure, but networking is everything and reputation is everything.
Awesome.
And we've got Celia Atkinson. Can you help me pronounce her name?
I couldn't. I'm not too sure either.
I apologize, dear Sister Atkinson, if I pronounced your name wrong. Yes, in Jamaica, it's colorism, but bred from racism and classism, which is also tied to race, but not so exclusively now. You know what? In Brazil, we have the same thing that as an American, I've had to really get my head around. Because while it is certainly most of the people who are disadvantaged and poor are discriminated against because they're Black. But let me tell you something, poverty hits white people here with the same hammer. Now, the difference is, of course, a poor white man and a poor Black man. The Black man still has poverty on top of being Black and denied certain services and opportunities. But one of the things that my friends had to really get my head around is they're like, why? You have to remember, the first enemy here in our country is being poor. And we can worry, there are Black people who are poor and white people who are poor. The problem is you come from a country where you have the opportunity, no matter how small and sparse, to be poor of any color and not be poor later. Where he said, as in many countries, if you're born there, the odds of you getting out are exactly donut.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're looking at it through the lens of, hey, that white guy is going to get out of his poverty and leave the Black guy behind. And he's like, here in Brazil, it's not going to happen that way. It's just
yes. Yeah, it probably is a similar observation I could say that I've made here. But I mean, I'm not sure how the state is. In France, it is.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what it is what it is like in Brazil, but here in France, I find that their system of welfare could relatively be seen okay, where there's so many things in place for persons who are less fortunate, but I'm not sure what it is like in Brazil.
Wow. So when you send people to another country, what are the things that you said there are two options? You've got the hotel option and the homestay option?
Yes, the homestay option.
Okay, so can you break those two options down for us?
Right. So it really comes down to one of the reasons. Well, we can either make the choice, or the person can insist. What we promote first and foremost is a stay with a host family, or the homestay option, as you call it. And this is because we believe that once you're with a native family, you have the opportunity to have constant contact with the language. But then again, we have had persons who are really just beginners in the language, so they would probably not feel confident enough to be with a family. So they could actually, talk. They could stay with in a hotel in that case, or perhaps for personal reasons, maybe somebody who they prefer a certain level, or they want to be sure of a certain level and quality of living, so they prefer to stay at a hotel instead. But at the end of the day, they prefer the host family, which the hotel, sorry. But the host family, at the end of the day, it's a group of people basically who take you in, who accept you as their own. They give you food. They give you. They speak to you. They entertain you, and yeah, you have a place to stay for the week.
You make it sound like they're orphans. Poor Americans and Jamaicans off the street. Here you go. Here's some feijoada, young man.
It is done with love, but no.
Wow. Now I'll tell you an interesting story. I have a friend. She moved to Brazil, and during her first year here, she was learning. She didn't have any kind of formal training. She was struggling to learn Portuguese, and she meets this guy from a place called Salvador. Salvador is mythic, okay? Salvador Bahia is mythic. We can have an entire show about that. And some of the guys from up there have a reputation for putting a spell on you. So she meets this guy. He could barely get 2 or 3 words of English out. She could barely get 2 or 3 words of Portuguese out. But he was like, hey, I'm only down here on business. Why don't you come up with me to meet my family and just come and hang out for a while? She's on vacation. She's in a holiday mode. And she was like, okay. By holiday mode, she came to the country, and I always advise people, when you move to a new country, come, and this is what I prepare people for with my business, give yourself a month or 2 to just have fun before you get serious. That's why I teach them the financial steps necessary. But she went up there. They were having fun for about 2 weeks. She's learning slowly at a decent pace. And he gets a call from his company. They need him to come back down to Sao Paulo. He said, listen, I'm going to take you over to my mom's house. My mom and my sister are there. It's only going to be a couple of days, and I'll be right back. So he takes her to his mom and his sister's house, and he was gone for like a month. His company was having some kind of computer crisis, and his mother speaks no English, and she barely spoke Portuguese, and his mother would be like, go make me some coffee, and she's like, I don't know anything.
Oh my gosh.
And she said by the time he came back a month later, she was just dead fluent in everything.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was either fight or flight.
She said, your sister wouldn't even help me. And she was like, yeah, my sister was like better her than me, because I'm usually the one that when mom cracks the whip, hey, go make dinner, go make coffee.
And that's the thing about when you're with a host family, not that it will be any kind of situation like what you just described, but it's true that one of the main rules about staying with a host family is that you do not stay with people who speak the same language as you, or it's a host family who speaks minimal your native tongue. So it obliges you to learn, obliges you to use your very few vocabulary, if that's the case, to communicate. So I definitely see how she could have been fluent at the end of that.
Você fala português or no?
No, I understand what you just said. No.
Okay. You know what? I know that you had some backup dancers that wanted to join us.
Are they there?
Yeah, tell them to check their emails, because I sent them join links as well. I'm really glad to know that you're there. I hope that after this COVID crisis, we're able to come back on and start talking about some of the people you've been placing and some of the places you've been putting them. I'd like to be able to use my 5 years of living in Brazil. If I can do anything for you with connections, things you need done on any professional level, you already have my number, and I'm here for you. You know, for no other reason than you're Black.
Okay, thank you.
Because I think it's important.
It is important. Thank you.
So did they check their emails?
I hope they have. I sent the stuff as well. So it's I'm not sure if there's Jennifer, if you're tuning in, as well as Luis, please, we're asking you to check your emails.
Yeah, well, didn't you tell them this was coming? I hope you didn't just spring it on them.
No, they were informed.
Are they your staff, your friends, what?
Yeah, so they are. So what Longsell has done for this summer, in any case, we had launched our virtual internship program, and we're very happy to have been able to do that with my partner. And what happened basically about this program is it's a way to give students, university students and young professionals an insight into the language travel industry. So it's a program that actually has already started and will go up until the end of August.
When did it start?
Pardon?
When did it start?
It started at the beginning of this week, actually. So June 20 until August 28. And we were able to have recruited 2 interns who have been fantastic. So Jennifer says, I'm here waiting for the page to load. Perfect.
It must be your internet connection because it's not mine. You're good.
Okay, so we have Jennifer, who shall be joining us shortly, and Luis, who is from Ecuador. And the idea is just to get them, exposure to the work of Longsell, and to hopefully do also some back work in terms of improving the language travel industry in Jamaica and in the Caribbean.
Your internship lasts what, 6 weeks?
That's correct.
I have some things that may be proprietary to you that we shouldn't discuss in public. When we're done with this, I'd like to have a brief phone call with you to see whether or not, because I think I may have some junk that may be helpful to you.
Awesome. I look forward to that. I see that Luis has written that. He's written to us there.
Yeah, I'll just wait. There we go. Hey.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, guys.
So where are you two? Jennifer, where are you?
Could you repeat, please?
I said, where are you?
I'm in Hanover, Jamaica right now.
Ooh. Wow. That's a long way away from Brazil.
A very long way, yes.
And Luis?
I'm home in Ecuador, Guayaquil.
Okay, you're at home. I'm at home. You can tell from my sofa, I am at home too. Well, thank you two for popping in. So, you've been working under Rhodey. I'm going to mute her so she can't say anything. Is she a really terrible boss? Like, is she mean to the
She's wonderful.
She's very nice.
Oh, did she threaten you to say that?
Definitely not.
So tell me, what is your program like? What have you two been going? Louis, start off. Tell me how you found Rhodey and how you got into her program.
Okay, yeah, it's quite interesting. First off, last year I did an exchange semester in France, in Bordeaux. It was partially funded by the French embassy of Ecuador. So after the exchange, I came back, but and I had access to this site called Campus France, in which the alumni that had previously worked with the embassy can access and can find really internship programs or stuff like that. And I found this this opportunity, so I took it, and I sent my resume, and I contacted her, and I had my interview, and now I'm here.
So you're trilingual? You speak French, English, and Spanish?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah.
Wow. You know, as Americans, you have to realize, as Americans, if we learn one more language, people look at us like we are superheroes, like we are mad. You are bilingual and you're American, but then when I leave the United States, I have friends who speak 3, 4, and I don't just mean speaking on the computer. I mean, they'll go to a restaurant, talk to one waiter in one language, have a conversation with me in English. Then one of their friends from another country will call, and they're like, "Yeah, that's normal." Because in other countries, they have this thing where you got to talk to somebody else who's out of your country. Jennifer.
Yes.
How did you get mixed up with Rody?
Well, I've always been involved in language learning. I recently returned from Colombia, where I did a year of teaching assistantship as well. I was teaching English to Colombian students. And I was scrolling through LinkedIn one day, and I saw the posting for the summer 2020 internship program with Rodian's company. And I decided to apply because I really liked what she was offering and everything that the company stands for. So that is how I ended up interviewing for Langsol International.
Really? So what does the company stand for?
Well, you spoke about it in the introduction, language learning through immersion programs and bringing Jamaica to the forefront as a teaching and language learning destination for foreigners.
I'm a big fan. Is this a friend of yours?
Yes, this is my friend from university. And you were asking before how her name is pronounced, and it's Tile.
No, get out of here.
Yes.
Did you wait? Say that again. Tile.
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 Yes, with an S. Tile.
So it's like the H is silent.
Could you repeat, please?
Like someone has a bit of an echo, but it's like wow, that's Sile. Okay, I will have to remember that. And for those who don't know, I've done a few different conversations on Colombia. Click that link if you want to see more. We did one on Brazil, Colombia, and Honduras. I have a good friend named Ebony, the Colombian connection. She lived in Colombia for, I don't know, 1 or 2 years. And then her plan was to pop back to the United States and then pop over to Brazil to work with me. And she popped over to the United States, and the United States stuck its claws under her neck and refuses to allow her to leave. Peace and prosperity to you too, my brother Green Machine. Thank you. And I'm a big fan of Jen too. Aja Maxwell. You brought a fan club with you.
Adia, she's also a friend from university.
Right on. So how many languages do you speak?
I speak 3 languages: English, Spanish, and Italian.
And have you been to Italy? What prompted Italian? Because clearly I learned Portuguese because I am in Brazil.
Right.
Why
well,
Italian?
I learned Italian because I was born there. Right. So it was basically something that I had to learn to live there. I lived there for 8 years.
Are you a dual citizen?
I am.
Nice. Bonus. Thank you. Sile is a Zulu name. And so then, of course, you learned English. And then, of course, you learned Spanish. Now, I have friends who have been through Colombia. I have quite a few friends in Colombia now who often ask me, I get a lot of clients who want to know, compare Brazil to Colombia. There are a lot of pros and cons for each one, but we have to see how they go.
Right.
So with your internship, what do you two do? Like, what do you bring to people? What is it that your job entails for a company whose job is to place people in different countries, but you're doing it from the internet? How does that work?
Who's going to take that question?
What? Sorry, are you taking it or should I?
Go ahead, Luis.
Okay. Well, as Rodi said, we just started this week, and well, we're working with her to communicate with different at the moment stakeholders and also possible stakeholders to prepare an event for I think it's September. So we're helping her with that a little bit with the preparation and that and yeah, this week and the following weeks we continue with that and with the communication, that part essentially.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a program that is multi-tiered with each, as one of the what you call it, the job offer had put out there, it targets in many ways the professional development of our interns. So it's about being able, as we said in the interview, guys, like it's, if it were a physical internship, I would not be asking you guys to fetch coffee. So it's about, you know, attributing tasks that could and gaining skills that could eventually be transferable to other sectors when they move on. So in terms of the things that have been advertised, we had our orientation and the things that they will be doing. And for those who are listening and who would want to work with us next year, it also entails, as Louis said, there was event managing that is actually mobility focused. There are so many other things that are related to the industry itself, including destination management. We offer immersion programs in so many other countries, but in 6 weeks, clearly we can't do everything, but it's just to have these talented individuals exposed to just, you know, the complexities that are involved. It also entails a little bit of just, you know, exploring their creative sides in terms of newsletters, blogs, all the stuff that have been written and published for the job offer. They will be doing that during the 6 weeks.
Wow. That's a pretty hefty.
Yes, I mean 6 weeks is really, it's really a short time, but I think it should be rich enough for them to leave and go tackle their next career. I know that Jennifer has had the opportunity of being enrolled in September in another degree program at the master's level. So I'm sure that I think you will have, you'll be working online potentially, Jennifer. I don't recall if that's the case.
It's an online program.
Right. So, and this is a virtual internship. So she'll be able to acquire those skills in terms of working remotely. Louis, I'm sure as a university student as well, pursuing his degree at the undergraduate level, there's so many skills that he'll be able to acquire in terms of the software that we've been using, the apps that we've been using to communicate and to project manage. There's so many things that they'll be learning and perfecting as they go along.
Wow. That's a hell of an undertaking.
Yes, yes.
You know,
But we have a very motivated group. There is also my partner, as I said, my business partner Rumi, who has been really helpful, and I'm sure that we will, with our partners as well, who will be coming on board with the projects that we have planned, will be pretty successful.
I'll tell you an interesting story that I heard in Japan from one of my Japanese friends who works for some big, giant mega corporations. They have a lot of presidents and vice presidents of different divisions. But they have a very interesting tradition, he said. When you go into your office, there's a guy who, or in some places they have people who are dedicated staff, but in the morning when you sit down, there's somebody who can bring you tea. And what makes their office so interesting in the way their company does it is when you are promoted from upper management to junior vice president and to be one of the regional heads, you must arrive before everyone else, and one of your duties is serving tea to everyone in your department. And when I thought about that, it really put something in my head because it forces you to do a few things. One, it forces you to be humane. These aren't people that you're going to tell later and then never see them again. It also gives you the opportunity to say anything to you. Now, of course, some people are never going to tell the truth to the boss, but it's a very humbling thing for him to have to, and a place that validated that. I have a friend who is a black belt, and he will soon break off and have his own Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. But the way that they do it is at night everybody cleans. But one of the things that they have to do with the senior students is before everybody comes in for first classes, they have to clean everything by themselves.
Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of the values that we uphold in terms of the teamwork, and that's what especially during orientation, we imparted to Lewis and to Jennifer in terms of doing things together. It is not a vertical relationship; it's pretty much horizontal, where we actually work together and everybody is implicated in projects. So I definitely love that Japanese tradition where you learn to serve those who serve you as well.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's a very beautiful thing. So let me ask you two, since this is your first time being here with us, did you have any questions for me on Brazil or any of the countries that I've lived in? Or
well, I'd like to ask, was it somewhat of a culture shock to move to a country so drastically different from America?
I've lived in about 15 countries, and I would say the most different was Japan, not Brazil. Okay. Brazil is still, it's a totally different language, it's a totally different culture, but you recognize certain symbols and signs, and I don't mean literal, I mean the way people behave, the way people greet each other. It's a little more emotional. But when you go to a place like Japan, your brain tricks you because you see some of the same brands and things you do in America, but the interaction with the things that people have is totally different. And it's, for example, a little buffet, and they have the buffet, bread, the croissant. You get a tray. You go next. You take your whatever, put it there. And you go down, pick up the fruit. You go down, and as you check out, you get a drink. Sounds normal. So I did all that, and I put it there. And the lady looked at me, and she kind of had a nervous laugh. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, I screw up. So she looked at me, and then looked at a coworker, and the coworker took over the register. She took my tray, put everything back, everything. Then she took the clean tray, put it down. Then she took the little slip of white paper that you're supposed to put down. Then she went and put everything back on my tray. I didn't put the slip of white paper on, therefore it was wrong. But not in your jerk way, wrong in a let me teach you uncivilized American how we do it here. And that's part of my experience in Japan. I remember going to a store looking for something, and the guy looked me in the eye and said, "Sorry, we don't serve foreigners." And instead of getting angry, I'm like, "I'm in your country. You don't want my money? That's fine." But as I turned to walk away, he says, "Wait." He closed his shop and walked me across the street to another friend of his who has a store who sells the same thing, who does sell things to foreigners.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Is that tradition or just I don't know what to say about that.
There's something I am going to say that I'm not going to get anywhere close to the truth of this, but it's the closest I can get as an English-speaking American. In Japan, there is a rule for everything.
Okay.
There is a way you do everything.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And so if I am a business owner who doesn't do, there are going to be people who do business with him who don't like foreigners. And if they hear that you've done business with foreigners, you also have to take cultural considerations in. And you know what? Hey, welcome to the team, real brother. Thanks for popping up again. It's not weird if you live because, again, a lot of people will say these things that I found untrue of Japanese people in Japan. They'll say Japanese people are racist against whites or racist against black or racist against Americans. No, they're not. Not at all. You're either Japanese or you're not. If you're in the not pile, there is no difference between you being black or somebody being Canadian and white. There isn't. It's just not how they get down.
I see. But it makes me curious about Lewis, especially who went to France last year. Did you experience any culture shocks?
Well, I mean, of course, but most of them had to do with the language because I I had some level of French, but the experience itself helped me a lot to improve it. Like I had to do like grocery shopping and like for me, I think the most difficult part was to get a SIM card because I can't even get that like in Spanish.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm looking for exactly. So trying to explain that in French, and they answering me in French, and I'm like, no, I don't know. Even if it will be in Spanish, I'll be like, no, I don't know what's like all the things that that have to do with like the SIM card, the internet, the minutes
Yes.
for calling. That's just weird for me, not for the language, but because of the technology
I
part.
see.
So it was
Okay.
it was really hard, but I got through it. I got my SIM card. I got internet, but I always think that I could have got another like a better plan because I of course I traveled, like I went to Spain, to Italy, but I didn't have internet for other places except from France. So I was like,
Yes. That's it can be that way. But I was curious, how did you stay? How long did you stay in Bordeaux? You said you were
yeah, in Bordeaux, 4 months.
in 4 months.
From
Okay,
September
wow,
to December, yeah.
that's incredible. And is it that you went back to your university back in January?
Yeah, I
Okay.
started a semester here, yeah.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So, by the way, Sile, you said it's a great custom, but unfortunately, there are still major issues in Japanese work culture regarding misogyny. So, women are more expected to do this kind of service. My first question to you is: do you have a first-hand reference of the Japanese culture? Can you tell us when you lived in Japan, what city you lived in, to give some reference to your observations? Yeah, that's my biggest culture shock, by the way. Luis, Jennifer, have you been to France?
I haven't, no.
Luis, you've been to France. Would you agree the Parisians are assholes?
Oh no.
I don't agree.
Do not walk into his trap.
You won't
I have a
believe
very
this.
great French
I
friend.
didn't went to Paris.
You didn't go to Paris.
I
Oh,
wanted
no.
to so bad, but like 2 times my train tickets got canceled. So I was like,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Yusef will probably think you were being spared.
And by the way, Green Machine didn't pop in from the beginning. He said, "Are you Afro-Colombian?"
I wish. I'm definitely Afro from Jamaica.
Clem Dice, hey, good afternoon, my friend. Let's catch up again soon.
Hello, everybody.
Well, that's the thing. It's one of those, every culture has their ups and downs. And I think that once you've seen more than one culture, it opens your mind in a way that you can't explain to anyone who hasn't done it. Right now, I have friends who've gone back to the United States because they foolhardily believed the American government when they said, if you are living abroad, come back to America. It'll be safer during COVID. And I was like, and I was. I don't have a single friend that went back to America that's happy for 2 reasons. 1, COVID, but 2, have you ever heard of expat blues?
That's when you're missing your life back in the receiving country.
Not just receiving country, but once you've lived outside, and this is true for everyone, regardless of your language. Once you've lived outside of your home country and experienced another culture, and go back to your home culture, you have. And this is something an old guy told me when I was young, living in Bangkok. He said, "Remember, it's not them, it's you." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You'll get it." And the thing that you learn is there are other things besides living in another culture, speaking another language that you pick up. Something that you also don't realize living in other countries is that most of the people around you are also multicultural and multilingual. Whereas aren't. So when you're out, you're hanging on with just average people like you. But the problem is when you go home, most of the people haven't seen any more of the world. So even concepts, and I say this trying not to sound stuck up, but there are concepts that you can't understand if you've never lived outside your own comfort zone.
No, but I definitely see your point. And it's true in terms of just adopting things from the place you've lived for a year or 2 years or however long, when you go back to your home country, it's very sometimes difficult to adapt, and you realize how you've really acclimatized, you've really really become like, I don't know, for me, for example, going home, whether it's to visit family or for a more extended period, it's how I greet people that's different. I forget that you don't kiss people on the cheek, which has become second nature for me. And just, usual thing, getting used to the prices of stuff. Given that Jamaica is a country that, unfortunately, a lot of things are imported, while in France, a lot of things are produced. So that's also some of the things to get used to. But indeed, I definitely see when my neighbor, for example, we can probably relate on things and places we've visited and towns we've seen and stuff. While back home, a lot of people wouldn't have had the same experience. So I definitely see your point.
Looks like we're getting a lot of Jamaica love here in the comments section that I posted. Well, listen, I've been your ear for about an hour, and I'm a busy person. You're a busy person. I want to know that all three of you are more than welcome to join me. All three of you are more than welcome. If I can extend any part of my extended network across 5 continents and 15 countries, the things that I've done professionally and personally, if Rodianne thinks that you are good enough to bring on to her team, then that's all the qualification I'll need. I'd like both of you to send me an email. I'd love to catch up with both of you. You can add me on WhatsApp as well. Let's go from bottom to top. Any last words? Anything you want to send off, Luis?
No, just like, thanks for having me. Well, it's cool to talk about this language, cultures, and all the experiences that we acquire by traveling and by living in our country. So thanks for having me.
I'd like to say thanks for having me as well. And this was my first podcast experience, and it was quite great.
Is it a podcast? I mean, some people listen to it like a podcast, but YouTube is a platform that no matter who you are, if you're just who you are and present yourself, there is an audience for you. I've helped many of my friends set up their YouTube presence, and so if I can do that for anybody at all, let me know. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example. Dear sister Roxanne Bangura, who just popped in to say hello. She's in Mexico. She's been in Mexico for a couple of years now. Black American mother who moved to Mexico, and they are just having a good time. She and her daughter talking about the ups, the downs, the what's going on in Mexico from an American perspective. And I'll share it with everybody. That. Boom.
Oh, nice.
I hope everybody gets a chance to check her out as well.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And outside of that, let's see. I guess, Rody, if you can clean up that for the team. Let everybody know where they can find you, how to say hello, anything you want to sign off with.
Yes, but before I even talk about anybody, I want to thank you, Yusef, for inviting me on again. It's really been a cool chat. You definitely know how to ask the difficult questions, but it's always, with the learning experience, good vibes. I really love it. So I really am happy for the exchange that we had here today. Thanks for in allowing Lois and Jennifer, who are the new interns at Longsell International, to join us to share about their language learning experience, especially Jennifer, who lived in Italy for a bit, and Lois, who is in Ecuador and who has been to France. So for those who are listening, please follow our activities on the different platforms. Earlier in the conversation, Yusef had shared our LinkedIn page. So if you want to follow our activities there, feel free to follow, as well on social media. I'm seeing that somebody says to not be completely left out, Jamaican women's chat team. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, please follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're basically everywhere. And even though we are not yet planning immersion programs, we're just in the pre-registration phase. do support us by, if you see a survey being sent out in a few, support our activities, because we want language travel to be accessible to all. So thank you, everybody.
Something that just came to my mind that I don't know if whether or not this is a track you want to go down, and I know how busy you are, and I always tell people when they come here, it's not just for the good conversation. I try to give as much quality information and things that have helped me as I can to anybody else. Because of your international experience and the level of connections that you have are similar to my own, have you ever considered doing some sort of a consultancy? Because I'm going to share with everybody something that I do. I don't know if some of the new people here know it, but I have a Patreon site, and I say this all the time. My Patreon site is a lot less fun than YouTube. Let me say that again. Patreon is not nearly as much fun, but Patreon is where people come and I give them hardcore data information on things like how I put my money together, how to do things like getting passports and visas to other countries. What's a recent one that we just did? How to use your holidays as an investment.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Oh, you did. I'm glad you enjoyed it. My Forex trading thing. It's one of the things I'm learning. How to become a subject matter expert is relative to you because you know enough to be a subject matter expert. People who I have that have these unique careers, like sitting in luxury. I have a friend who's paid to babysit luxury homes.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that I do specifically and most is I do a lot of one-on-one coaching for people who need different things and different things done with them and for them. And that's a different level of Patreon. But I won't bore everybody by making them read through it. I'll just leave that there and I'll leave that on the screen. So I say that to say this. If I can help you guys in any way, let me know. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say to everybody watching, please stay healthy. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to click end broadcast so we can go off the air, but I want to talk to all of you guys privately afterwards.
Perfect.
All right?
All right. Everybody.
Sure.